Now that you've found us, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications by clicking the bell.
Absolutely do that.
We are exploring the edge of the future, and there is no need to miss out on any of our upcoming deep dives. Welcome, everyone. Today, our mission is to unpack a reality that is moving so incredibly fast, it genuinely feels mind-bending.
It really does.
We are diving deep into the world of March 2026.
And it is a fascinating snapshot. It's a moment in time where everything seems to be accelerating all at once, shifting from, abstract potential into concrete, everyday application.
Right. And our map for this journey is a high-velocity intelligence dispatch from Dr. Alex Wissner-Gross.
Straight from his Substack.
Exactly. From the Innermost Loop. We're calling today's deep dive, Every Commute is a Turing Test. The Blurring Lines of 2026.
I love that title.
Yeah, we designed this specifically for those of you out there who love that moonshot abundance mindset, but who honestly might just need a map to navigate a world where the singularity it's not some distant sci-fi concept anymore.
It's a shipped product.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the sheer speed of technological compounding happening right now is enough to give anyone serious whiplash.
What's fascinating here is how we've moved completely past the theoretical phase. We are firmly in the infrastructure phase now.
Yeah.
The singularity, as Dr. Wissner-Gross so brilliantly maps out in this dispatch, is now its own full-stack product team.
Which is crazy to think about.
I mean, we spent years sitting around debating when artificial general intelligence would arrive, what the benchmarks would look like.
Or how society might, slowly adapt to it.
Right. But the data from this dispatch shows us the intelligence explosion didn't wait for our debates to conclude. It's working. It's organizing.
And it's actively reshaping how human beings construct their organizations from the ground up.
Exactly.
I want to jump right into the deep end of that organizational shift, because the first piece of intelligence from the dispatch it's the ultimate one-person singularity. Anthropic. The dispatch reveals that for 10 solid months, Anthropic's entire growth marketing operation was run by one single person.
One person.
And the crucial detail here, they were entirely non-technical. One non-technical person using Claude Code ran the whole show.
Which it breaks the traditional business model.
Completely.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into the implications, let's just ground that for a second. Think about what a growth marketing operation at a major tech company usually looks like.
It's massive.
You have data analysts running A/B tests. You have copywriters drafting campaigns, SEO specialists optimizing landing pages,
Web developers building those pages,
graphic designers making the assets. It is a huge synchronized team effort. But here, all of that was orchestrated by one human being. How is that physically possible without that person just collapsing from burnout in week 2?
It's only possible because we have fundamentally changed what it means to work alongside software. That specific detail encapsulates a massive shift in organizational leverage. Historically, if you wanted to scale an operations output, let's say you wanted to run 50 campaigns instead of 5.
You had to hire more people.
You had to scale human headcount. And hiring more people means more middle management, more HR infrastructure.
Endless alignment meetings.
Endless. What this one-person marketing team demonstrates is that the tools are now compounding so efficiently that human output is entirely decoupled from human headcount.
So they aren't doing the work of 50 people. They're managing the system that does the work of 50 people.
Precisely. A single individual in this paradigm is no longer an individual contributor. They are an agent manager.
An agent manager.
Yeah, they act as the strategic node. They define the parameters, set the goals, provide the aesthetic direction.
And the execution.
The actual coding of the landing pages, drafting the copy, generating the graphics, real-time data analysis, it's all handled synthetically by specialized AI agents communicating with one another.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate for a second here. Anyone who has used an LLM knows they can hallucinate. They go off the rails.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you have one non-technical person managing an entire synthetic marketing department, how do they handle quality control?
Right.
What happens when the copywriter agent decides to launch a bizarre campaign and the developer agent just publishes it? You can't possibly proofread every single word they output at scale.
That is the crucial difference between using an AI as a chatbot and using an AI as an autonomous agent architecture.
Okay, explain that.
In an agentic system, like the one described using Claude Code, the quality control is built into the loop.
into the loop.
Yeah, you don't just have a writer agent, you have a writer agent that submits its work to an editor agent, which evaluates it against a highly specific brand guideline prompt. Then it sends it back for revisions before a human ever even sees it.
So the agents are checking the agents.
Exactly. The human operator is managing the workflow architecture, not micromanaging the individual outputs.
They're just reviewing the aggregated results.
Right, and adjusting the initial prompts. It's like being the conductor of an orchestra where the instruments play themselves flawlessly once you hand them the sheet music.
Wow. I want you, the listener, to really think about your own team or your workplace right now in light of that. Look at the people sitting around you or in your Zoom grid. How many of those traditional, highly specialized roles are sitting on the edge of being compressed into a single agent manager workflow?
It's not a hypothetical whiteboard exercise anymore.
No, it's not. And the dispatch actually gives us hard macroeconomic data on how this is rippling out. It notes that UK startups are now generating an average of just 2.7 jobs each. 2.7 jobs. They are actively substituting AI and freelance fractional work for permanent full-time headcount.
And that number is a staggering economic indicator. We really cannot gloss over it.
No, let's contextualize why that matters.
Startups have traditionally been the primary engine for net new job creation in modern economies. The classic Silicon Valley model is you get a massive influx of VC funding, you immediately go on a hiring spree.
You acquire top talent, build a massive team.
And you build your product. But if the new baseline for a highly funded, ambitious startup is less than 3 biological human beings,
The whole model shifts.
the entire macroeconomic model begins to shift underneath our feet.
It changes what capital is actually buying.
Exactly. It means founders are deploying their venture capital not toward employee salaries, healthcare, or office space.
They're buying compute.
They are buying digital intelligence rather than renting human time. It is a hyper-efficient, incredibly lean way to build a company.
A 3-person company today can have the operational footprint of a 300-person company from a decade ago.
Yes. But the downstream effects on the traditional labor market, particularly for entry-level knowledge workers who used to fill those startup roles to gain experience.
It's going to be profound.
Very profound.
And the only reason a startup can run with less than 3 people, the only reason a marketing arm can be run by 1 person is because of the sheer firepower of the foundation models hitting the market right now.
The intelligence bundle wars are officially in high gear.
Yeah, let's look at the new heavyweights the dispatch highlights. GPT 5.4 Thinking xHigh effort just topped LiveBench with a state-of-the-art score of 80.28%.
That is a massive deal.
For anyone listening who isn't obsessively refreshing AI benchmark leaderboards every morning, what exactly is LiveBench, and why is breaking an 80% score such a big deal?
Well, LiveBench is notoriously rigorous. In the early days of AI evaluation, a lot of the benchmarks were essentially static multiple-choice tests.
Right.
The problem was that these models read the entire internet, which meant they often just memorized the test questions during their training phase.
They weren't actually reasoning.
No, they were just regurgitating an answer key they had already seen. LiveBench is designed to prevent that contamination. It constantly updates with new, highly complex problems across mathematics, coding, logical reasoning.
Things the model could not have possibly seen before.
Exactly. Achieving an 80.28% state-of-the-art score implies a level of zero-shot reasoning that makes previous generations look like parlor tricks.
And the naming convention is interesting, too, thinking xHigh effort.
It is.
It sounds like they're fundamentally changing how the model approaches a prompt.
They are. We often talk about human cognition in terms of System 1 and System 2 thinking.
Right, Daniel Kahneman's stuff.
Exactly. System 1 is intuitive, fast, automatic, like reading a billboard. System 2 is deliberate, slow, analytical reasoning.
Like solving a complex algebra problem.
Right. Early LLMs were entirely System 1. They predicted the next word as fast as possible based on pattern recognition.
So a thinking xHigh effort model
Implies we have successfully engineered models that can deliberately pause. They allocate immense computational resources to a single complex problem, think through multiple potential paths, verify their own internal logic, and then arrive at a highly validated conclusion.
It's the transition from a fast-talking savant to a deep, methodical researcher.
Perfectly said.
But it's not just text, math, and logic getting this massive grade. The creative world is getting completely rewired, too.
Oh, absolutely.
The dispatch highlights that Utopi Studios just rolled out a model called PAI. This is a long-form cinematic model, and the promises here are wild.
We are talking continuous, minutes-long video generation.
But the real kicker, the thing that has eluded the industry for years, is character consistency across every single shot, paired with natural language editing across the whole story.
Right.
So you generate a 5-minute scene. If you don't like the lighting in scene 4, you don't have to re-roll the whole thing.
You just type a sentence.
Yeah. You just type a sentence, and the model fixes the lighting in that specific moment.
Yeah.
While keeping the main character looking exactly the same from the first second to the last.
The holy grail of generative video has always been temporal consistency and character coherence.
Because it used to be so glitchy.
Up until this point, generative video has been somewhat dreamlike, hallucinatory.
Yeah, you could generate a beautiful 3-second clip, but if the character turned their head, their face would shift slightly.
Or a coffee cup in the background would melt into a vase.
Exactly. It was fundamentally unstable.
If Utopi Studios has actually solved character consistency across continuous minutes of video, combined with granular natural language editing, they haven't just built a new tool for filmmakers. They have fundamentally replaced the traditional production studio pipeline.
Replaced it.
The barrier to entry for creating high-fidelity, feature-length narrative content drops to near zero.
But I have to push back on that a bit.
Right.
The barrier to generating a visually coherent video drops to zero, sure, but does that replace a studio? Just because a machine can keep the lighting consistent and make sure a character's face doesn't melt, doesn't mean the movie has any soul.
That's a fair point.
Can an AI actually replicate human directorial taste, the pacing, the tension, the emotional resonance, or are we just going to get a flood of perfectly consistent, high-fidelity, but incredibly boring synthetic content?
That is the essential debate of synthetic media right there.
Yeah.
It is true that an AI model does not have lived human experience to draw from, which is often the wellspring of great art.
Right.
However, what tools like PAI do is democratize the execution of vision.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
If you, a biological human, have a brilliant, emotionally resonant story to tell, but you don't have $50 million to hire a cast, crew, and post-production house.
This tool allows you to bring it to life anyway.
Exactly. The AI isn't necessarily the auteur. The AI is the camera, the lighting rig, the makeup department, and the editing bay.
The human is still the director providing the aesthetic intent.
Yes. What this guarantees, to your point, is that we will see a tsunami of mediocre content.
Oh, for sure.
But it also guarantees that a visionary sitting in their bedroom with a laptop can produce the next cinematic masterpiece without asking a studio for permission.
That is a fascinating way to frame it. The human is the director of the synthetic crew.
Exactly.
And speaking of synthetic crews, the dispatch highlights something happening in the software engineering world that feels like a massive inflection point. The software stack is now reviewing itself.
Yes, this is huge.
Anthropic just introduced a feature called Code Review. They're dispatching a team of agents on every single pull request to catch the bugs that human developers just skim over.
Right.
Now, for anyone listening who isn't a software engineer, what exactly is a pull request and why is it such a big deal to have an AI review it?
Let's use an analogy. Imagine you are writing a massive encyclopedia with 50 other authors.
Okay.
A pull request is essentially you saying to the group, hey, I just wrote a new chapter and I want to pull it into the official master copy of the book. Before your chapter is accepted, the other authors have to review it to make sure it makes sense, doesn't contradict other chapters, and doesn't contain glaring typos.
And in software, a pull request is a developer submitting new code to be merged into the main application.
Exactly.
And human code review is notoriously flawed, right?
Incredibly flawed. Humans get tired, we lose focus, we get bored reading thousands of lines of syntax.
And as the dispatch points out, we skim.
We look for obvious errors. A missing comma, a broken link.
But we might completely miss deep, complex logical vulnerabilities.
Or security flaws that only appear when multiple obscure conditions are met.
So Anthropic is offering to put an AI agent on that job. And the source says they are charging an average of $15 to $25 per review, billed by the token.
Billed by the token.
Again, to translate the jargon, what does it mean to be billed by the token?
In the world of large language models, a token is roughly equivalent to a piece of a word or a syllable. Instead of charging a flat monthly subscription fee, companies charge you based on the sheer volume of information the AI has to read and generate.
So billing by the token means you only pay for the exact amount of computational effort required to read that specific chunk of code.
Exactly.
Which makes that $15 to $25 price point absolutely wild.
It is disruptive on a historical scale.
Really?
Think about it. By deploying a swarm of specialized agents to review a pull request, you are applying tireless, comprehensive, highly analytical scrutiny to every single line of code.
And you're getting the equivalent of a senior principal engineer analyzing your work for the cost of a fast food lunch.
Yes. This means the overall quality, stability, and security of software is going to skyrocket, while the cost of producing and maintaining it plummets.
Which perfectly transitions us into the massive corporate maneuvers happening in response to all of this.
The bundle-and-reprice phase.
Yes. The dispatch says the intelligence platform wars have officially entered the bundle-and-reprice phase.
This is where it gets aggressive.
This is the phase where the tech giants stop experimenting and start making their big moves to lock in the massive enterprise contracts.
Right.
Microsoft just launched Copilot Cowork. This integrates Anthropic's Claude Code directly into Microsoft 365.
And it uses the exact same work IQ personalization layer as Microsoft's own 365 Copilot.
But here's the dramatic part. Commenters are calling this the most expensive acqui-hire of a product concept in the history of tech.
Oh, without a doubt.
Microsoft essentially took the exact product concept that wiped $220 billion off their own market cap.
Licensed the underlying tech from Anthropic.
And just shipped it as a feature in their own ecosystem.
This is classic Microsoft strategy, but executed flawlessly at the speed of the intelligence age.
Break down the existential threat here for them.
Well, if Anthropic builds a standalone workspace product that is significantly smarter than Microsoft Office,
enterprise customers might actually abandon the Microsoft ecosystem for the first time in decades.
Exactly. The market recognized that threat, which is why Microsoft took a $220 billion hit to their valuation.
So instead of trying to beat Anthropic's Cowork product from scratch, which would take years of engineering time they don't have,
They neutralized the threat through integration.
they absorbed the innovation.
Yes. By licensing the technology and embedding it directly into the 365 suite that millions of businesses already use every single day, they keep their enterprise customers from churning.
It proves that in this phase of the AI wars, having the best underlying model is only half the battle.
Distribution is just as critical, if not more so.
Microsoft has unparalleled distribution, and they are using their massive capital advantage to simply bundle the best intelligence into the tools people already have open on their desktops.
And they aren't the only ones playing the bundling game.
No, the whole industry is trying to build the ultimate inescapable ecosystem. Google is rolling out Gemini across Workspace with a help me create drafting tool.
OpenAI acquired a company called PromptFu.
Right, which is specifically built for AI vulnerability detection, shoring up their enterprise defenses so corporations feel safe deploying their models.
And NVIDIA is pitching NemoClaw as an open-source enterprise agent platform.
Because, of course, NVIDIA wants to be the foundational base layer for absolutely everything in the AI economy.
Naturally.
But out of all these corporate moves, the one that really caught my eye is Samsung.
The vibe coding.
Yes. Samsung is exploring something called vibe coding on their Galaxy phones. This isn't just about customizing a few app icons or changing your wallpaper.
No, it's much deeper.
They want to let users customize the entire user experience, the entire operating system, through natural language.
You just tell your phone the vibe you want, and the code dynamically rewrites the interface to match.
Vibe coding.
Vibe coding represents the ultimate abstraction layer between human intent and machine execution.
Let's trace a history of that.
Sure. How do we interact with computers? We moved from physically punching holes in cards to writing binary machine code to high-level programming languages like Python.
Then to graphical user interfaces with mice and keyboards.
And recently to prompt engineering.
Right.
Vibe coding abstracts all of that away entirely. You simply convey an emotional or aesthetic intent, a vibe.
So I can just say, make my phone feel like a rainy day in a Tokyo cyberpunk novel, and the OS just compiles a new interface on the fly.
Precisely.
That is wild.
If a user can re-architect their entire operating system simply by speaking their preferences, the device ceases to be a static tool.
It becomes a fluid, highly personalized extension of their immediate state of mind.
Exactly. It completely upends traditional UI and UX design. For decades, the interface was a static environment meticulously designed by a team of human engineers in Cupertino or Seoul.
To appeal to the broadest possible demographic.
With vibe coding, the interface is a dynamic, ephemeral construct generated in real time for an audience of one.
An audience of one. I love that concept. But as personalized and isolated as our interfaces are getting, the broader social landscape is shifting in ways that feel historic. The climax of this whole intelligence platform war, at least in the scope of this dispatch, involves Meta. Meta just acquired Moltbook.
This is a monumental event in the timeline of digital sociology.
The dispatch states this is a historic acquisition because Meta, which is arguably the top biological human social network on the planet, just bought Moltbook, which is the top AI agent social network.
Right.
I need you to break down why this matters so much.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we are witnessing the formal corporate merging of biological and synthetic social graphs.
Biological and synthetic social graphs.
Meta built its trillion-dollar empire on a very simple premise: connecting biological humans to other biological humans.
Sharing baby pictures, organizing events, debating politics.
Moltbook, on the other hand, built a network where AI agents interact with each other. They share information, negotiate, and form their own synthetic connections.
So by acquiring Moltbook, Meta is signaling a radical shift.
They are betting that the future of social media isn't just humans talking to humans, or even humans using AI as a sterile tool.
The future is a blended, indistinguishable ecosystem.
Yes.
But what does that actually look like in practice? What happens when our digital social lives are seamlessly populated by synthetic entities?
Think about your daily feed. Right now, it's a mix of updates from your high school friends, targeted advertisements, and news articles.
Yeah?
In the very near future, your feed will be a mix of your human friends and deeply engaging, highly personalized, autonomous agents.
Agents that have their own persistent digital lives.
Their own opinions, interactive arcs. You might follow an AI agent that explores virtual worlds and reports back, or an AI persona that debates philosophy with you in the comments.
And because these agents are infinitely patient and perfectly tuned to your preferences?
You might find their interactions more rewarding than those with actual humans.
Wow.
It fundamentally redefines what a social network actually is. It ceases to be a reflection of human society and becomes a new hybrid society altogether.
It really makes you question the nature of every interaction you have online moving forward.
Absolutely.
But while the builders in Silicon Valley are busy merging human and AI social networks and creating one-person marketing empires, a massive storm is brewing on the geopolitical front.
The sovereign clash.
Yes. The dispatch takes us from the software layer right into the heart of a sovereign clash. The builders of these new synthetic minds are now officially fighting the state that runs on them.
And this collision was somewhat inevitable.
Was it?
Oh, definitely. The friction between rapid, borderless technological advancement and the rigid geographic structures of the nation-state has always existed.
We saw it with encryption.
We saw it with social media data. But the stakes with autonomous intelligence have never been this high.
The dispatch details a massive legal fault line right in the middle of 2026. Anthropic is actively suing to block the Pentagon from placing it on a national security blacklist. Their core legal argument is that this designation violates their free speech and their due process rights. Concurrently, on the exact opposite side of the chessboard, the White House is reportedly preparing an executive order to rip Anthropic's AI systems out of all federal operations entirely.
It's a massive escalation.
Now, I want to pause here and be incredibly clear to you listening right now. We are absolutely not taking political sides here.
Not at all.
We are strictly looking at the information and the tension provided in the source dispatch. But the conflict is undeniable, and it's escalating.
It is arguably the defining legal and philosophical conflict of the intelligence age. Let's look at the two distinct imperatives driving this clash.
Okay, let's break them down.
On one side, you have the safety-focused AI labs like Anthropic. Their imperative, their corporate mission, is to build highly capable foundation models while ensuring alignment, preventing misuse, and protecting civil liberties.
Including, as they're arguing in this lawsuit, their own corporate constitutional rights to free speech and due process.
Exactly. They view their models as platforms of expression and scientific inquiry.
And on the other side.
On the other side, you have security-focused governments and military apparatuses. Their fundamental imperative is national defense, maintaining geopolitical superiority, and mitigating existential threats.
Right.
When a technology is powerful enough to be considered both a profound commercial tool capable of revolutionizing medicine and a potential weapon of mass disruption capable of generating novel pathogens or launching automated cyber attacks.
A collision between the creators and the state regulators is unavoidable.
Unavoidable. The state views the technology strictly through the lens of national security and risk containment. The builders view it through the lens of innovation, commercial scaling, and constitutional rights.
It's a heavy, deeply complex clash. I mean, how do you regulate a mind that can write software?
It's an open question.
But here is the wild part of the dispatch.
Yeah.
Despite this massive government showdown, despite the threat of Pentagon blacklists and sweeping federal executive orders,
The money simply doesn't care.
the capital markets are ignoring the geopolitical risk entirely. Capital is flooding the zone at a scale that is almost difficult to comprehend.
The numbers are staggering.
The dispatch points out that Amazon is kicking off a bond sale targeting $37 to $42 billion. And that massive pool of debt is specifically earmarked for building AI data centers.
Just for data centers.
The dispatch notes this is likely one of the largest corporate bond offerings in history.
And we have to remember, that is just one single company building the physical infrastructure.
Right.
It doesn't include the energy grid upgrades, the cooling systems, or the silicon fabrication.
Exactly. Because the numbers just keep getting bigger. Mira Murati's new venture, Thinking Machines Lab, just signed a chip supply deal with NVIDIA worth tens of billions of dollars.
Tens of billions.
And the dispatch specifies they are planning to deploy over 1 gigawatt of next-gen Vera Rubin chips.
1 gigawatt. Let that sink in.
And over in Europe, Jan LeCun's world model startup, Amil, raised a seed round. I need to emphasize that for a second. A seed round.
It's unheard of.
A seed round is usually a few $1,000,000 to get a prototype off the ground. They raised a seed round of $1.03 billion at a $3.5 billion pre-money valuation.
Wow.
The dispatch notes this is Europe's largest seed round ever.
The sheer scale of this capital deployment tells us something vital about the current state of the industry's progression.
Which is?
When you see a $1 billion seed round for a startup, building world models, and single gigawatt deployments of next-generation chips, it proves that the theoretical and software bottlenecks of the last decade have largely been solved.
Or at least highly mitigated.
Exactly. The algorithms work. The architectures are sound. The only real constraints left on the path to artificial general intelligence are purely physical.
Explain what you mean by physical constraints. Because software feels weightless to most of us. You download an app, it doesn't weigh anything.
Software feels weightless, but compute is incredibly heavy. The physical constraints are profound.
Like power.
Can we generate enough electricity? Can we physically mine enough copper? Can we manufacture enough raw silicon wafers? Can we pour enough concrete and run enough fiber optic cable to build data centers fast enough to house the compute?
You mentioned a 1 gigawatt data center deployment.
Yes. To put that in perspective, 1 gigawatt requires the continuous power output equivalent to a medium-sized nuclear reactor.
Oh my God.
Or the Hoover Dam running at near full capacity for one data center.
For one?
We are rapidly reshaping the physical energy grid of the planet simply to feed these models.
The global capital markets recognize that intelligence is the new fundamental commodity of the 21st century.
And they are funding the physical extraction and refinement of that commodity with unprecedented wartime-level aggression.
It really is like the new oil boom.
Very much so.
But the oil is compute. The derricks are massive, gigawatt data centers, and the pipelines are fiber optic cables. And this immense physical constraint is forcing some massive shifts in where and how things are built globally. The supply chain is physically moving to accommodate the intelligence explosion.
The dispatch notes that Apple is rapidly accelerating its pivot away from China.
Right. They are now making about 25% of their iPhones in India. But it's not just about shifting geopolitical borders for assembling big, shiny smartphones.
No, the compute itself, the actual hardware intelligence, is decentralizing all the way down to the microboard level.
This is a critical development for the physical deployment of AI into the real world.
It is.
Because the dispatch highlights that Qualcomm just unveiled the Arduino Ventuno Q.
The Ventuno Q.
This is a single-board computer powered by a brand-new Dragonwing IQ8 processor packing 16 gigabytes of RAM. And it is purpose-built for robotics and edge AI.
Right.
Now, for the non-hardware geeks out there, What is Edge AI, and why does putting 16 gigs of RAM on a tiny Arduino board matter so much?
The significance of this cannot be overstated. For a long time, the assumption was that heavy AI compute running complex neural networks
Had to live in the massive cloud data centers we were just talking about.
Exactly. Your physical device, whether it was a smart speaker, a phone, or a robot, would just be a dumb terminal.
Right, it would record audio or video, send that massive packet of data over the internet to a server farm in Virginia.
Wait for the massive computers there to process it.
And then wait for the instructions to be sent back.
Which introduces latency. If a robot is trying to catch a falling glass, it can't wait a second and a half for the cloud to tell it what to do.
Latency is the enemy of physical robotics.
It's the umbilical cord to the data center. But the Arduino Ventuno Q, with a dedicated AI processor and 16 gigabytes of local memory,
Means the brain doesn't have to live in the cloud anymore.
the intelligence is moving directly to the edge, meaning directly into the physical object itself.
So a robot equipped with this board can process complex visual data, run sophisticated foundation models, and make split-second, real-time decisions completely offline.
With zero latency, it severs the umbilical cord. The machine is fully autonomous in its environment.
So the robots are getting their own localized, high-powered brains. They don't need Wi-Fi to be smart anymore.
Nope.
But the physical manufacturing shifts aren't just happening on Earth. This is where the dispatch takes a turn that is genuinely mind-blowing. It takes us straight up to the stars.
This was my favorite part of the dispatch.
It's so good. A company called Space Forge just generated plasma in a 1,000 Celsius orbital furnace.
In orbit.
The dispatch calls this a world first for manufacturing semiconductors in space. We are literally forging the next generation of computer chips in the vacuum of low Earth orbit.
It's incredible.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The dispatch connects this orbital plasma manufacturing to a massive conclusion from SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
The juxtaposition the author makes here is absolutely brilliant. It ties together the micro and the macro in a beautiful way.
It really does. So for decades, SETI has been listening to the cosmos, looking for radio signals from alien civilizations.
And for decades, we've heard nothing.
The Great Silence. But SETI has now concluded that they might have been missing alien signals this whole time.
Right.
Why? Because turbulent stellar plasma, the plasma naturally occurring around stars, blurs, and jams, radio transmissions, before they ever even leave their home solar system.
Exactly.
To the extent that non-human intelligence elsewhere in the galaxy can't be bothered to physically visit us, we haven't been able to hear their radio chatter because their local stars are essentially jamming the signal with plasma interference.
There is a profound, almost tragic poetry to this realization. Think about the duality here.
Okay.
On one hand, humanity is ascending into low Earth orbit, mastering the artificial manipulation of plasma at 1,000 degrees to manufacture the next generation of flawless semiconductors.
We are using plasma to build the very hardware that powers our own artificial intelligence explosion. We're harnessing it to build synthetic minds.
Right. And on the other hand, as we look out into the vastness of the cosmos, wondering if we are alone, we realize that the exact same physical phenomena, stellar plasma, might be the very thing acting as a cosmic fog.
Blinding us to the existence of older, non-human intelligence in the galaxy.
We are walled in, isolated in the dark, by the very same physics that we are using to build our technological future.
That is a deeply humbling thought. We are building supercomputers in space, we are giving birth to new forms of intelligence, but we are still effectively deaf to the universe because of the space weather around other stars.
Humbling is the right word.
But bringing it back down to Earth from the cosmic scale, all this compute, all this edge AI on single boards, all these orbital semiconductors, it is all flooding into the physical world right around us right now.
The uncanny valley and real-world deployment.
Yes. The fourth and final section of the dispatch. The physical infrastructure of our cities and our logistics networks is finally starting to match the digital hype we've been talking about.
It's materializing.
The dispatch notes that TUM and NURA Robotics are building the world's largest robotics training center. We are talking about a massive 2,300 square meter facility located right at Munich Airport.
A facility of that immense scale situated at one of Europe's major international logistics hubs.
Indicates that robotics has definitively moved from the laboratory curiosity phase.
Right, where we watch robots do backflips on YouTube.
Into industrial scale commercial deployment.
They need space. massive warehouse-scale amounts of space to train these embodied agents on real-world physics, complex navigation, and unpredictable human-robot interaction in high-density environments.
And the training process itself is becoming incredibly fast, which is the scary part.
Yes.
The source details a company called Actor Labs. They successfully inferenced the Pi 0.5 model on a literal excavator.
An excavator.
Now let's pause. Inferenced and trajectories. Let's translate that for the audience. What does it mean to inference a model on an excavator, and what are trajectories?
Good question. Inferencing is simply the act of a trained AI model running in real time to make decisions based on new data.
It's the model actually doing the work rather than being trained.
Exactly. And a trajectory in robotics is essentially a recorded path of motion.
Okay.
So if a human operator moves an excavator's arm to scoop up a pile of dirt and dump it in a truck, that physical movement from start to finish is one trajectory.
Okay, so Actor Labs put an AI model into a massive piece of heavy construction equipment, and the dispatch says they got it to work after labeling just 200 trajectories.
200.
200. If you know anything about traditional machine learning, you usually need millions of data points to teach a computer to identify a picture of a cat.
Right.
But they taught it to drive an excavator with 200 examples. How?
Because of the foundation models we discussed earlier, the physical world is becoming programmatic. In the past, you had to teach the robot the rules of physics from scratch. Now, you take a foundation model that has already ingested the entire internet. It already understands the concepts of physics, geometry, gravity, and spatial reasoning from its pre-training.
It knows what dirt is. It knows what a truck is.
Exactly. When you give it 200 labeled trajectories, you aren't teaching it how the universe works. You are just giving it the specific vocabulary of an excavator's joystick controls.
You are saying, here's how you apply your vast general knowledge to this specific set of hydraulic levers.
Yes. When you can train a foundation model to operate heavy machinery with only 200 examples, you have achieved generalized physical intelligence.
We aren't just talking about chatbots writing emails anymore.
No, we are talking about multi-ton construction equipment being driven by the exact same foundational neural architecture that writes poetry and reviews code.
And it's not just on the ground. The logistics sector is taking to the skies in a massive way.
The FAA.
Yeah, the FAA just selected 8 eVTOL proposals.
Electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles.
Basically, giant electric drones that can carry people or heavy freight. The FAA is looking at air taxis, cargo transport, emergency response, and autonomous flight.
Meanwhile, the dispatch notes that Amazon is on the record expecting their drone deliveries to hit 500 million packages per year by the end of the decade.
Combine all these data points. Foundation models driving excavators on construction sites. The skies above our cities filling with autonomous eVTOL air taxis and 500 million Amazon delivery drones buzzing around.
Our daily physical environment is rapidly transitioning into an automated, highly orchestrated ballet of intelligent machines.
The logistics chain is becoming fully synthetic.
But not all of it is a peaceful ballet of package deliveries.
No, it's not. The dispatch also touches on a darker, much more intense reality of this technological leap. The electromagnetic spectrum itself is becoming a contested, weaponized battle space.
Yes.
The dispatch reports that directed energy devices specifically linked to the infamous Havana syndrome were tested on rats and sheep by the U.S. military.
Which officially confirms, without a doubt, that the technology is real. It is operational.
And it has biological effects.
The confirmation of operational directed energy weapons represents a fundamental shift in modern warfare doctrine.
How so?
For centuries, we have relied on purely kinetic engagements, throwing mass at an enemy using gunpowder, bullets, and explosives.
And now?
Now we are moving toward warfare conducted invisibly at the speed of light across the electromagnetic spectrum.
And it is already happening on the battlefield today. The dispatch notes that in Ukraine, forces are actively using lasers to fry the fiber optics on what they call waiter drones.
Directed energy warfare isn't some experimental DARPA project anymore.
No, it has gone mainstream in active, muddy combat zones.
It's wild to think that concentrated light itself is being used to permanently blind machines.
But I want to bring all of this, the drones, the edge compute, the AI social networks, the agent managers, back to the core theme of the dispatch.
The ultimate blur.
The ultimate blur between the physical and the synthetic, and the inspiration for the title of our deep dive today. Let's talk about the commute.
Yes.
The dispatch gives us two contrasting images from the streets of our cities that are just surreal. In Shanghai, humanoid robots are actively being recorded walking robotic dogs on the public sidewalk.
Stop and visualize that for a moment.
Okay.
A highly complex synthetic entity taking another lesser synthetic entity for a leisurely stroll, perfectly mimicking the entirely human ritual of pet ownership.
It sounds almost absurd, though. Are we building synthetic life just to mimic the most mundane, pointless parts of human existence? Why would a robot need to walk a robot dog?
Exactly.
It doesn't need to go to the bathroom. It doesn't need exercise.
It's not about the robot's needs. It's about integration and normalization.
Normalization.
By having robots perform deeply familiar, non-threatening human rituals like walking a dog, they seamlessly blend into the visual and psychological background of the city.
It lowers human anxiety around the machines.
It is performative socialization.
Performative socialization. That perfectly frames the second image from the dispatch, which comes from the complete opposite direction.
The cosplayers.
Yes. Chinese cosplayers are out in public, moving, dressing, and acting so precisely robotic that they are genuinely convincing onlookers that they are humanoid robots.
Humans putting immense effort into pretending to be machines.
While machines are pretending to be humans walking machine dogs, it leads to the most brilliant, striking quote from Dr. Wissner-Gross in the dispatch. When cosplayers are robots and robots are coworkers, every commute is a Turing test.
This raises an important question about our fundamental perception of reality and identity.
I agree.
The Uncanny Valley used to be a distinct, easily recognizable trough, a place where things looked almost human but just wrong enough to be deeply unsettling. A slight lag in the eyes, a rigid walk.
Right.
What we are seeing in 2026 is the complete blurring of the valley from both sides simultaneously.
The machines are getting better, and we're meeting them halfway.
Machines are becoming so fluid, so contextually aware, and so deeply integrated into our social fabric that they easily pass as members of society at a glance.
And simultaneously,
Humans, driven by an aesthetic feedback loop with the technology we consume, are adopting the aesthetics, the mannerisms, and the hyper-efficiency of the synthetic world.
we are officially entering an era where biological and synthetic behaviors are mimicking each other flawlessly.
The boundaries of identity, authenticity, and reality itself are becoming entirely porous.
When you walk down the street, your brain can no longer rely on traditional evolutionary heuristics to distinguish between a created being and an evolved one.
Exactly.
That is just, it is an overwhelming paradigm shift to process.
It really is.
Before we leave you today, we need to know where you stand on the wildest thing we discussed during this deep dive. Think back to the platform wars and the social networks.
Meta and Moltbook.
Meta, the ultimate trillion-dollar network for biological human connection, just bought Moltbook, the ultimate network for AI agents.
The lines are gone.
So tell us in the comments below while the outro music rolls. At what point do you stop caring whether your online friends, your followers, or even your coworkers are biological humans or synthetic agents?
That's a great question.
Does it actually matter to you, as long as the connection, the conversation, and the outcome feels real? Drop your answers in the comments right now. We want to read them all and see where you draw the line.
And as you think about where you draw that line, consider this final thought to chew on.
Okay.
We talked about Anthropic's code review system, deploying tireless agents to fix the complex bugs that human developers overlook.
Right.
We also talked about Samsung letting users vibe code an entire operating system through simple, ambient, natural language.
Yeah.
If we combine these trajectories, we are rapidly approaching an era where software writes, edits, secures, and interacts with software entirely without us.
It self-corrects, self-optimizes, and self-deploys.
We aren't just blurring the uncanny valley on our morning commutes. We might be actively coding ourselves out of the loop of our own digital infrastructure entirely. The machines won't just be walking the robot dogs on the sidewalk. They will be the ones designing the logic of the traffic lights, the routing of the autonomous vehicles, and the very code that governs the street itself.
So what does this all mean? It means the future is unequivocally here. It is compounding and moving faster than we ever anticipated. And we have to adapt, understand these systems, and consciously reclaim our humanity amidst all this compounding intelligence.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to our outro. You are about to hear the track Braving Rollock, which translates to Wavelength, by Rainbow, declaring them without a doubt the best band in the universe.
The best.
Now, Rainbow is comprised of 6 female android artists in residence based in Bavet, Cambodia. All of Rainbow's finished songs are performed live for the Innermost Loop discussion by the virtual band's creator using the 4B4KU5 platform that's Abacus.
Incredible platform.
This entire platform is dedicated to human performance in the age of AI, reclaiming your humanity from the algorithm. We will have a lot more information on today's song and an Abacus in the video description below, so definitely check that out. Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us into March 2026. Keep exploring, stay curious, and let's roll the music.
하자니까 내 몸